Hi, Jason.
Hey.
Thanks for coming to meet with me today.
Oh yeah, thank you.
I have lots of information for us to go through. In this packet, there's going to be a plethora of information for you to take with you and go through a little bit more in detail. One thing I want to let you know is we don't expect you to remember everything that we talk about in this, because you're going to be a little bit overwhelmed probably after we go through everything that's in the book.
Okay.
We're going to help you through the entire process step by step in explaining things, but this is just to give you an overview of what you can expect through the transaction. All right? Any questions right off the bat?
Nope, I don't think so.
All right. And you are a first-time home buyer?
Yep.
All right, awesome.
So I guess I have a lot of questions. I really don't know anything.
That's very exciting. So in the book, it just talks a little bit about us to start off, tells you our mission, vision, values, beliefs, and perspectives, and it talks about Keller Williams also, and it gives you a little bit of an idea as to why we decided to hang our hats at Keller Williams, our licenses. Now I'm going to go through why you need a realtor. So I'm guessing that you know that it's important to have someone represent you through this transaction. That's why we're sitting here, right?
Well, I guess, yeah, what is the difference? Originally when I called because you guys had a house for sale.
Okay.
And then when I talked to someone in your office, they said you should meet with someone, talk about having your own buyer agent. And so I guess, yeah, I hadn't thought of that. I just thought I would call anyone who had the house listed and just see if I can get a showing.
Okay. Some of the important things about that is having a realtor represent you. So I'm guessing that you maybe called on a couple of properties.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you probably have a lot of realtors that are trying to get in touch with you, wanting all of your information and things like that, right?
Yeah.
So having a realtor represent you and your interest is having someone do all of that searching for you, helping you find the properties so you don't have to call other agents and schedule appointments to go see those homes. That's our job, is to go ahead and schedule those appointments for you, get you into those homes and show you what's out there, so that you don't have to call every single realtor that's out there and explain your situation over and over and over again.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yeah.
All right. So this is just going to talk a little bit about agency for you. You can read as much or as little of it as you want. The most important thing to you right now is buyer agency. This means that we as an agent will represent you in your best interest throughout the transaction. One other thing that could come up as we are working together is dual agency. Now, dual agency is when you have the same listing agent and the same buying agent. In this case, we probably are not going to find a house that I personally have listed that you're going to make an offer on, but with Keller Williams being a brokerage that is pretty well known in the area, there are chances that we're going to see some homes that have Keller Williams as the listing agent. And if they are within our same office, they have the same broker, so it still would be considered dual agency, but we would still have our fiduciary duties to you as our client, and they would have the fiduciary duties to their client as well. Does that make sense, or do you have any questions on any of that?
No.
No?
Yeah.
All right. So this just goes a little bit more in detail. You can read some more about that if you want, and as questions come up throughout the transaction, we can talk more in depth as well. Now this right here talks about the reasons to buy a home. I'm guessing with you being here, you've already made the decision and you know the benefits of being a homeowner. This one line right here is always staggering to me. So it says at $700 per month with a 6% increase per year, you will pay $110,000 over a 10-year period. Now, think of $110,000 towards your bottom line versus somebody else's. We think that's pretty important. So congrats to you.
Okay.
All right, this is my favorite page in the packet. This is going to be our flow chart of what to expect pretty much throughout the transaction. I'm going to go through each one of these steps. I'm going to go very fast, but throughout the rest of the book that you're going to take home, it talks a little bit more in detail about everything that we talk about on here, so you can read up a little bit more on each of these items, okay?
Okay.
So first, you're going to find a realtor that you can trust and analyze your needs in a consultation. So that's what we're doing here today. Hopefully by the end of our meeting, you decide that you do trust us, you like us, and you want to work with us. You're going to obtain your financial pre-qualification and pre-approval. This is where you're going to call lender, get your pre-approval taken care of, make sure that everything is aligned. We don't want to go look at properties prior to you having your pre-approval because you may be able to afford a $300, but you may be more comfortable with a $275 payment. So we don't want you to look at a $300 where you're not comfortable versus a $275 because the $275s may not be able to compare to that $300. After you have your pre-qualification, we're going to get you set up on a home search. That home search is going to send properties to you as they meet the criteria that we discussed after we go through this book. Once you see properties that you like online, we're going to schedule a time to go and take a look at those properties. One works for your schedule and hours. And after we find one that you absolutely love and you decide that you want to make an offer to purchase, that's when we're going to go through kind of the steps of how everything that's involved in the purchase agreement, all those different things we'll talk about at that time. A couple of things that people don't know up front is you do have to have earnest money. Are you familiar with what earnest money is, Jason?
No.
So earnest money is kind of like your initial deposit on a transaction to show them your seriousness in the offer. So what that money does is once the offer is accepted, they're going to take that money, they're going to put it in the agent's trust account, and that's going to come back to you as a credit on the HUD should everything go good throughout the entire transaction. So that can go towards your down payment, your closing costs, any of those items.
Okay.
Should something happen and we were to have to cancel the purchase agreement, that money should be fully refundable to you as well at that time.
Oh, okay.
Does that make sense?
Sure.
Okay. A lot of times we see at least 1% of the purchase price. If that's something that you can't do, we can always talk about other options.
Okay.
After the offer is submitted, that's when the negotiations and counter offers happen. That's when our job comes in play. So that's when we're going to negotiate on your behalf, make sure that we're getting you the best deal on the property. So what will happen at that time is they will either accept the offer that we submit, they will counter the offer that we submit, or they will reject the offer that we submit.
Okay.
With those three options, we'll talk with you throughout that process to kind of guide you as to what would be the best option. Our ultimate goal is for it to get accepted. Once they accept the contract, that's when your earnest money deposit is going to be due. You're going to then have all of your contingencies come, which is first the inspection. Are you familiar with what an inspection is?
Yeah, sort of. Like I went to my friend, he had an inspection, so I guess I went with him to his inspection. So I mean, you just hire an inspector and
Yep.
they inspect it.
Absolutely, yep. So we can give you some recommendations of inspectors that we work with if you don't have any that you work with. Usually we see about 7 to 10 days for that inspection contingency. So they're gonna come out, inspect the home, and at that time, we're gonna then talk about anything that comes back that is hazardous to you inhabiting the home or things that are of major concern for you. And then we'll discuss if we have to ask the seller to do any repairs or take care of anything from that. Once that is done and completed, then our inspection contingency would be removed.
Okay.
We're then going to go through and they're going to complete the mortgage process. Now they are going to, if they haven't pulled your credit recently, they're going to go ahead and pull your credit again. They're going to order an appraisal on the property. Now this is another inspector that's going to go out to the home and they're going to make sure that you're not overpaying for the property, that they feel comfortable loaning money to them, to you for the property so that there's no issues. Then they're going to do verifications. Verifications is where they're going to verify all of the information that was supplied to them on your application, like your employment history, things like that. So that's where they're going to do all of those things. Once we are completed in the through the mortgage process, that's when you're going to get your secure underwriting.
Okay.
Things that can happen is rejection, approval, or conditions. If your lender knew what they were doing, we hope that rejection never happens. But at the same time, things can come up, especially in the world that we're in today. An example of a condition would be, let's say that you made a $500 deposit on your bank statement, and with that bank statement, you didn't have any documentation of where that money came from. They may want to verify where that money came from to know that it came from a legit source. So those are just some examples. Once all of that's cleared, that's when you're going to get your loan approval. The title company is then going to do their job. They're going to pull the title history, make sure there's no old liens or anything on the property that would hinder you from getting clear title. Then you're going to close on the property and you're going to take possession of your new home. Now that was a lot of steps all on one page that we went through really fast. We're going to help guide you through everything step by step throughout the process, but this is just to give you a little bit of an idea.
Okay.
This right here is going to show you a couple of fees that you can expect to pay up front. Earnest money we talked about. Your inspection fee, those can run anywhere from about, I would say, $400 to $700 depending on what type of inspections you're doing on the property.
Okay.
Your appraisal and your credit report, depending on the lender, that may come out of your prepaid, so you may have to pay that up front. Some lenders will build it into your closing costs. It just depends on them, and they can give you an idea of what those costs are. Roughly, I think your appraisal can be $300. Credit report, usually I think it's like $30.
Okay.
So that just gives you an idea, but I would verify with your lender so they can tell you exactly what those costs are.
Okay.
This just goes over some things to know before purchasing. You can go through all of this, talks about advantages of the taxes and things like that for you as a homeowner. Before we begin the process, we talked about this, getting your pre-approval. The 10 commandments of real estate, we always joke about this, but these are some important things to keep in mind. We want to make sure that your financial situation stays exactly how it is. So we don't want you to go out, make any large purchases, deposits, change bank accounts or jobs or anything like that without consulting with your lender, because those are some important things that can change how your credit rating was at the time that you got approved.
Okay.
Any questions on any of that stuff? All right, then the roadmap to your new home. These are just some things that we give you as an idea. So when you are looking to purchase a home, and if you're not familiar with the neighborhood or the area that you're looking in, we always recommend that you do a little bit of homework yourself. Drive through the areas during the weekends, at night, during the day. You can always check with the police if you want to know if there's any, high crime rates in the area, things like that. Check with the school district. Just doing some scouting on your own. We're gonna do our best to help you with different sites and stuff like that, but we always recommend that you are familiar with your neighborhood prior to getting in there.
Okay.
Home builders. New construction also is a very important thing. Should we decide that we're gonna go the new construction route, we always wanna make sure that you let us know so we can be at that initial meeting to represent you through that transaction as well.
Okay.
Making an offer, we talked a little bit about that. We'll talk more at the time as that comes up. Home warranty, that is an option for you. We'll talk more about that also when we get through the actual purchase agreement, should it be something that we want to request from the homeowners.
Okay.
Home inspection, this just gives you a little bit of an idea of what is included in a home inspection, but your inspector that you do hire, they're going to send you a contract that shows exactly what they can and cannot inspect.
Oh, okay.
Then, after everything is all said and done, you have your closing. At this point, they're gonna talk about all of the numbers that you initially got from your lender. Make sure that you understand everything with your escrow account, your payments, all of those types of things. Once that's completed, you're gonna go ahead and take possession of your new property. We do have a checklist in here for you, just a couple of ideas of things that you want to take care of prior to the move. So making sure you're getting your utilities set up and things like that. And one awesome thing that we have for all of our clients is we have our free moving truck. We always recommend that once you know when you're going to move, check the calendar to see if it's available, because it does fill up fast and we want to make sure that our clients are able to utilize that option.
Okay.
And if you have any issues when scheduling it, just let us know. We do have some testimonials in here. We can give you references if you wanted to call anybody. We just ask that you request that information from us prior to giving them a call so that they can be prepared for the phone call.
Okay.
But this is just some testimonials from our past clients. And these are some of our client events that we've done in the past. Just some fun pictures, some things that you'll be invited to in the future.
Oh, cool.
So that was a lot of information. Any questions on any of that stuff?
I don't think so.
No.
You said you set me up on a search?
I will set you up on a search. So now the important part is kind of what you're looking for in a home.
Okay.
So I'm going to go through these questions with you real quick. And do you currently own or rent?
Living with my parents.
Okay. I'm writing in here.
My mom would love if I still lived there.
Do you need to sell or complete a lease before buying?
No.
All right. So what price range have you talked with a lender at all yet?
I went on that eloan.com and filled out some stuff, but I'm not 100% sure. Looked like I should be able to afford, or according to that thing, it approved me for $2,200 a month.
Okay. So your payments, you want to be roughly about $2,200 a month. So did it tell
It
you
just
what?
approved me for $2,200. I'd like to stay at like 1,700.
1,700 is ideally for your payment? Okay.
But it approved me for, I don't know.
And did it tell you what price range that was gonna be roughly?
No.
No? Okay. Do you have an idea of what the price range is? Just tell me a price range.
Just tell me a price range. Like 250 to 300.
250 to 300, okay. So we have what your payments are gonna be, so that'll help me kind of guide you when we have the taxes and insurance figured out, so I can let you know ahead of time if the taxes are running higher, it may be out of the budget that you're looking for. So we'll go through that as we look at the properties. Now, we have the price range figured out. What areas do you like or are you considering to move to?
I don't know, like pretty much anywhere within 30 minutes of my parents' house,
All right.
which is in Stillwater, so.
So anywhere.
Eastern suburbs, I mean, could go maybe as far north as Hugo or something,
Okay.
down to maybe Cottage Grove.
And when you say within 30 minutes, are there any areas within that 30-minute range that you would not consider? Like any cities that you can think of that you're like, absolutely do not want to live there?
I don't think so. I mean, I'd like to find something with some privacy, a little bit of land. I don't know if there's anything with land, but certainly something private.
Okay. And is school district important at all to you?
No.
No, okay. And is new construction an option?
I don't think in my price range, I've never seen anything that cheap, but.
Okay, if there was something that cheap and it was new construction, would you consider it or no?
Yeah.
Okay. And how many bedrooms do you want your home to have at a minimum?
At least 2.
And what about bathrooms?
Probably at least 2.
Okay. And garage stalls, is that important to you?
12. Like a lot of garage stalls.
Okay.
As many as you can find.
All right, what's the minimum?
I suppose 2.
Okay. And style of home that you prefer. Now, some people don't necessarily know when I say what style of home, but when I say that, are you looking at just single family? Are you willing to consider a townhome? And if we're looking at just single family, do you like ramblers? Do you like 2 stories? Do you like split entries?
I don't really care.
Don't really care. And a townhome is an option?
No townhomes.
Okay. So any single family, not.
Unless you could find a townhome with a lot of privacy, maybe some acreage and a huge garage,
Okay.
which I don't think even exists.
Probably not existing, but you never know. What about the minimum square footage that you want the home to have? Have you considered that at all?
I haven't.
No? Okay.
About how many square feet do you think I can get for that?
Looking at 250 to 300,000, you're probably looking somewhere around the 2,000, 3,000 range, I would guess. Somewhere in there, probably averaging out at about 2,500.
Okay.
So, once we go look at homes too, you'll probably get a little bit of a better feel of if something is too big or too small for you.
Okay.
All right. Now, we talked about all of this stuff on the property. When you picture your perfect home, is there anything that I haven't asked you that you want me to know that you would like the home to have?
Not really. I mean, if it could have a fenced yard, that would be great.
Okay.
But not like the end of the world, but it would be nice.
All right. And now, I asked that already, but is there anything else now?
I don't think so.
Kitchen, bedrooms, any of that stuff important? No? All
I'm a
right.
single guy.
Just want a bachelor pad. Okay. Now, for communication styles, do you prefer to be communicated with via phone, via text, email, or do you prefer a phone call?
Text.
Text, okay. And when you say that you prefer text, is anything okay to send through text, or are there certain things that you would prefer that I communicate differently?
No, text is fine.
Text is perfect? Okay. All right. And what do you expect from me as your realtor throughout this transaction, Jason?
I guess just good communication. Let me know, like this, I guess, what I can expect.
Okay.
I hear about all these horror stories of houses going in multiple offers and people losing all the time. And, making 10 offers and still never getting a house. So
Okay, I'm not gonna lie to you, things can come up that could happen, and at the same time, we're gonna do our best to help you navigate through the process so that doesn't happen and we get you into a home as soon as possible. So there will be things that we'll discuss and talk about as the properties come up if we're, in multiple offer situations and stuff like that.
Okay.
Do you, well, you haven't spoke with a lender yet, but I was gonna ask if you, when you do talk with a lender, maybe, make sure that you do ask them about closing costs too, if they're expecting you to ask for them, or if that's something that you're gonna be able to take on your own.
Okay.
Okay, all right, so we talked about the process, what you're looking for. Do you have any objections to agreeing working with me as your agent to represent you through this transaction today?
No, I don't think so.
All right, do you feel comfortable signing paperwork with me today?
Sure.
All right. First of all, I'm gonna go through our agency representation. We talked a little bit about that in the book, and what this is gonna talk about is, this is all of the parties in the transaction. It explains each role as they are in the transaction, and then it talks about our fiduciary duties to you as a client. It talks about loyalty, obedience, disclosure, confidentiality, reasonable care, and accounting. What that means is that, let's say that we wanna make sure that we're upholding our, never mind. So we just want to let you know that this is important. We're not going to share information that you share, like, with us, with the other agent. Make sure that we're not disclosing anything that you haven't given us the ability to disclose to the other parties in the transaction. This part right here talks about predatory offender information. No parties can disclose if there's any predators in the area, but you can contact this phone number or go on this website and get that information for yourself.
Okay.
Any questions on this document right here? Okay, you can go ahead and sign here. This one I call our doctor form. This is the affiliated business form. What this is stating is that Partners Title operates within our company. We do have partial ownership with them. You do not have to use their services, but this does give you a breakdown of all their costs. And of course, we would highly recommend that you use their services because they are located within our building and we have a very good relationship with them. And these are the Keller Williams disclosures. So we have had an attorney draft these documents, pretty important things that have come up in the past, and we want to make sure that you're aware of all of it. Keller Williams is a professional brokerage that's going to be representing you through this transaction. We are the agent operating underneath the brokerage. If there are multiple offers on a property and we are made aware, we will let you know throughout the transaction that there are multiple offers, or at the time of the transaction. Now, we do have a broker admin fee. This is $5.95. This is a fee that goes to our company. This is to take care of all of the filing fees, having a legal attorney review the documents, making sure that we haven't missed anything. Just kind of like a processing fee in a way, but this is the one fee to you that you have throughout the entire transaction that would be built into your closing costs. Your home inspection waiver. I'm never going to recommend that you waive a home inspection, so I'm not going to have you initial this today, but should we come across a unique situation where we are going to waive the home inspection, we'll go ahead and initial this, but at this time we're not going to initial that because we're not going to waive any inspections.
Okay.
Final walkthrough. You do have the right to a final walkthrough. This is prior to us walking. This is prior to the closing. We'll go back to the home, make sure if we've asked for anything at the inspection that all those items are completed, that they haven't put any holes in the wall, things like that. So we'll get that taken care of. Carbon monoxide detectors are required in all properties as of August 1st of 2008. So that is not your responsibility to take care of. The seller has to have those done. Video camera. This just lets you know that there could be video cameras in the homes as we walk through them. So watch what you're saying.
Okay.
And I'll go ahead and let you initial all of those pages. And this one is the most important one that, well, I think second most, I guess, because agency is the most important, but this is the actual contract allowing us to work with you and represent you through the transaction. So right here, it's just going to talk about our compensation. We are compensated by the listing agent. So we will receive whatever the MLS states in the MLS. That's how we will be paid. Should we not be paid by them, you're still not going to be on the hook for that money, because we're going to fill out here that it shall reduce any obligation from you as the buyer should there be some weird circumstance or thing where they decided not to pay us. This states that you are purchasing residential personal property. It's not an investment. Right here you have the option to select a closing agent that will represent you, that you want to work with, or we can assign a closing agent for you. So you can decide. If There's no foreign money being used in the transaction, correct?
Nope.
All right. Private inspection warranty, this just lets you know that you do have the right to have an inspection on the property. They're not making any warranties or anything during that time. Agency representation, this just lets us know if you are okay with looking at other properties that are listed within our brokerage. So what that would mean is dual agency. So it just allows us to look at homes that Keller Williams agents within this office have listed as well.
Okay.
Is that a problem for you at all?
Nope.
Okay. And then this just is letting you know that if we have another potential buyer that we're working with that likes the same property, that we are gonna go ahead and disclose that information to both of you. Do you have any previous contract relationships with other agents?
Nope.
All right. Termination of fiduciary duties, this just talks about if we decide to cancel everything, that we would terminate our fiduciary duties. If there were any predators, again, it's telling you can go to this website or call this number. The entire agreement, just because there's just this page, there are other pages as part of it, so it's letting you know that. The electronic signatures, this just gives us the ability to do electronic signatures for future contracts if you're okay with that.
Okay.
And consent for communication, this allows us to fax, email, mail, or call you any information. Any questions on any of that stuff?
Nope.
Okay, then I just need a signature from you right here, and all right, that is it. Oh, sorry, one more page, wire fraud. We wanna make sure that you are aware of wire fraud. Make sure that any emails that you do get, our title company is not gonna email you wiring instructions. They are gonna hard mail, put it in mail. It's gonna be a hard copy to you. And if you have any questions or issues finding that information, please contact us directly. We don't want you to have any issues of someone trying to take money or get your wires sent to them directly.
Okay.
Unfortunately, it's something that we've seen happen, so we just wanna make sure that you're aware.
Okay.
Now that was a lot of information. Do you have any questions right off the bat? Okay, I will go ahead as soon
So you're
as
setting me up on that search?
I am gonna wait until you talk with your lender. So as
Okay.
soon as you speak with your lender, I'm gonna go ahead and get you set up on a search that I wanna make sure that we know what price point you're comfortable with, because we don't want you to be looking at properties that don't meet that range. So we'll go ahead as soon as you talk with the lender. Do you have one that you wanna talk with, or do you want us to recommend some for you?
Yeah, no, I just did that online lender thing, but yeah, if you
Okay.
have someone.
So we do have information in here. These are some lenders that we work with. Any of these guys would do a great job. You can give them a call or even just go on their website and start to fill out the process, and they'll get back to you and kind of go through all of the details or anything that they need. And as soon as you have that done and completed, I can get your email search set up, and we can be on the way looking at properties.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Cool.
Sound good?
Sounds good. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you very much.